Hello guys, I'm one of the coders for this game. I took part in the enemy movement, the player movement, the player's contact with enemy, how how the enemy and player movements interact with each other, and how the player interacts with different items. We have the only physics element we have in this game is just gravity. Each gravity element when the gravity is applied, the gravity is applied to both the player and the items. So once the game loads, all the items will actually fall into the respective places. The rules of this game is very simple. The game rules are the player has to collect all three items for each level. Once all the items are collected, the player will be able to move on to the next level, where there will be a door available. The door will be available at each level for the player to pass by. For the player and enemy contact, if the player contacts an enemy in any other way other than jumping on top of them, the player will instantly lose health. The player will lose exactly 10 health each time with each contact. If the player loses all of his health, he will lose. The game will end. If the player collides with the enemy on top, the player will destroy the enemy and be allowed to move on. He will not lose any health in that case. With each contact, the player will be pushed back. The enemy will not be affected. Once the player health hit zero, the game will end. The player can also lose if they fall off a platform completely. The items the players are collecting, they are not exchangeable. Each item that they collect is a requirement for the player to move on to the next level. There are three unique items in each level. Once the player collects one item, he has to collect the other two for the player to move on. Once all three items are collected, the player will have to navigate to the door to exit and move on to level 2. He will do this for each level. To complete the game, the player will have to navigate all three levels without losing. If the player loses in the middle of any stage, he will be reset. He'll be reset all the way back to the intro screen. Each class containing one scene of the game. The index file collects all the scene allow and and, then, and assigns the width and height of the index file will have all of the scenes allocated in one array, as well as the width and height of the canvas. We'll also set a gravity up to 300. For each game scene, we have a preload, create, and update function. In each update, create, and preload function, we're loading all the assets that we're using for that specific scene. We're also creating the images based on different x and y coordinates. We use a special platform known as Phaser to implement the game. This game is implemented